Hey there, everybody. Thanks for joining me for another one-man review. Today I'll be taking a look at Joshua W. Cotter's book with Fantagraphics called Not Away. This is volume 1. This is a book that I've seen Fantagraphics promoting. I've liked some of the images. I don't know why, but I was hesitating to pull the trigger on it. And boy, am I glad I did. It's a really, really fascinating book. I've got number 2, and I'm pretty eager to jump into it after reading volume 1. Because there is a second volume, I'm going to show a good amount of this story, but try and keep it from spoiling the ending as well. The book is, to me, a very obvious meditation on the idea of individualism versus collectivism wrapped in with technology. I think that's like a main theme in our society right now. I think it's a main theme of my own personal thoughts and something we cover a lot on the channel. So right up my alley, and then that's combined with great art, great writing, and some cool just page designs and formalisms. It's a top-notch book. The book starts off very clearly with this idea of the I, or even like a singularity. You have a white page, and then you just have a dot in the middle that at first can just look like a printing error or a dot of ink or something. Like, I think this dot up here is actually a printing error, something in the paper. But then you get the I, so you got that individualism, the singularity, the individual. You get a little bit of a poem here, and then you get some really cool formal tricks, merging image and composition, word all together, and looking at like the words becoming these big kind of formal compositional units that the artist can play with. So the poem then becomes visual, and we switch over now to this, like every few pages you're getting this switch and approach to like words in these bubbles, then the bubbles coming together. All the while there's like this kind of poetic bit of prose here talking about the idea of infinity and assimilation, and it's pretty big open thoughts right for the beginning of a book. I think after I've finished, I don't know if volume 2 is the last volume, but I would think that after finishing the whole thing, coming back and rereading this would be even more informative. But it's super engaging right out the gate. Then you come back to where the abstract like shape of the words along with the meaning of the words starts to become pictorial, and you get these little bathroom door people that are like eyes and selves. Again, just really great design throughout. Really also insane, it looks like that this is all like hand colored in, like black cross-hatched. It's not just solid black, so there's a real handmade quality to it. And then that kind of all compresses down to this guy with a beard. Like all these thoughts kind of compress down, and we get the title of the book, which is Not Away. And this visual here of like all these images and language and things compressing into these strange little like line clouds is one of the central themes of the book. I think part of what it's suggesting, because it is part of the book, is that throughout the story there's an idea of everyone being kind of technologically, telepathically connected. And I think this is a representation of that, like just the noise and confusion of hearing too many thoughts at once, and it being like in the place where a TV used to be. So that's this big kind of abstract opening sequence. Then you jump into the actual story of it, which is a little bit more clear. You have this character here, Dr. Bertrand Ernest, who is promoted, and I think he invented the idea of streaming. And streaming in this world's not like streaming television, but it's the idea of being in the stream, this stream of consciousness, connected consciousness. So there, he's talking about like how you preserve your individualism as we're all connected in this big hive mind. And one of the things that he's talks about is that there is like it's like peer-to-peer file sharing with your mind, basically. And then he says that your mind has these own kind of like defense mechanisms between what it will and won't share with people. So he's saying that like a threat for hacking would be pretty impossible, and that's just kind of built into the way we work. But it's also obvious that there's some problems with it. There's also some problems of how they get people streaming, and some people just aren't compatible with the technology either. And so there's like a divide in this society of people who want to, who don't want to, who are able to, who aren't able to, and there becomes like this technological divide basically between, you know, those who can and those who can't. So that's the primary like political, I guess, driver for the story, the main plot point for the story. You get these chapter breaks that have these abstract designs in them, the chapter titles. Then you meet who is really the main character, I believe. This is Dr. Melody McCabe, and she's joining the Hive. This is basically a big thing out in space. Let's see if I can find really big, beautiful space station that she's going to go work on that deals with the network, I believe, that people are streaming on. She's going to be doing some research there. This is a character that she meets. Lance Iota is basically the guy who's showing her around as she gets integrated into the Hive. Throughout the book, then you switch between the character who opens the book, this guy having, I believe this is someone in the Hive. I don't quite know. He's having like this hallucinatory connected experience, and then he comes out of the Hive, I believe. And yeah, here he's like disconnecting from this, I think he's disconnecting from the stream. He's coming out of this like matrix like goo container, and he basically wanders around for the rest of the book. So I don't quite know where that's going, but I think he's going to be a main player in book 2. You'll see here like he's wandering around in a desert and having visions and stuff, but you don't really quite understand what that character is about. And so it's basically jumping between the Melody McCabe scenes and whoever this character is. You see that Dr. Ernest is now selling an idea that there's a new type of streaming technology. One of the things that's bad about the old streaming technology is it relies on having some children who have special like ESP powers to be the hubs, is kind of what I took away from it. So there's a moral issue there that people are becoming aware about. Melody McCabe is part of the team that's studying these children and trying to help them. And then they're introducing this new streaming technology that's going to be 100% compatible and also won't be using the children. But it seems like an ominous like data grab as well. You meet Dr. Samuel Sirius and Commander Conrad James. This is Samuel Sirius and this is Conrad James here. You get the sense that the military is involved. This character is kind of like this Conrad James guy is kind of a gross, lecherous person. The Samuel Sirius seems overly serious, and he seems driven just by science in this. So there's definitely, some shenanigans going on. And they're also have sent a ship, and they've got a like Stargate portal that they're going to open. And this has something to do with the new streaming, I think, or they're looking to get humans off planet as well, but keep them connected by streaming. I didn't quite catch that. But they open this Stargate thing, and then things go absolutely banana pants crazy at that point, where these crazy alien creatures and this guy who's like running away from them come through the Stargate thing and slaughter all these people, and things all start going to hell. Melody is like witness to all that, so she starts getting interviewed. A really cool trick that Joshua Cotter is using throughout the book to create these abstract images that he's got is he's taking, and it took me a while to pick up on this, but each chapter ends with one of these. And I started realizing that these images are like broken up versions of the compositions here. You'll get some of the shapes and stuff, like you get the basic shape of her butt and her shorts there. You get the face of the cat in there, but then you'll get images from somewhere else, like there's an old lady's face in here. In this one, you're getting like his shoe and like the picture he's looking at. So I think they're the ideas of like the jumbled thoughts of being on the stream, but it's a really interesting visual, really interesting like compositional strategy to mix lines from different compositions and then freestyle from there is what it looks like. This guy that's been disconnected, he also has this kind of like abstract chatter, I think is what that's supposed to be, just being connected to all of that abstract chatter, and he's trying to get away into the wild. So leads to interesting visuals that are used in a number of ways throughout the book. Really enjoy that aspect. On the theme of individual versus collectivism, there's obviously an argument and an exploration of how those things pan out. Like, how do you maintain your individuality while also being engaged in a collective? I think that's one of the big questions that we're going to have to answer for ourselves as we move forward into like a tech-driven, potentially post-human world. Is I think we're headed towards that connectivity, and we're going to want to figure out how to, if we're going to lose individuality altogether or not. And that argument's being had here, and the Dr. Samuel Sirius says, but I am no proponent of the expiration of the individual, no proponent of social cultural homogenization. No. And so he's saying, even though like he's building the technology to connect us all together, he's saying that he's doing it from an individualist perspective. He doesn't want social and cultural homogenization. I think that's one of the most interesting fractures that we have in our society right now, is there's a head towards homogenization, but the tactic for that is bifurcation and division and genreification and all of this. So I think this book has really, really tapped into a lot of the issues of our times, both philosophically and technologically. Then you're combining it with awesome art like this, and yeah, I'm just totally sold on this project. There's a second character that shows up chasing this guy out in the wilderness. He's got one of these like implant things in his head as well. This guy looks like he has removed his. So that story's going somewhere. But a lot of really awesome, like just textural buildup with the hatching and stuff. Completely enjoyable art to look at. But they're calling this character Mon or Man, Mahn. I think they're just saying man with an accent. But loving the art there, kind of wondering where this is all going. We get some clues about where Volume 2 might be headed at the end, so without giving away total spoilers, in the opening of the Stargate, there's like this weird, gooey, melted creature, and apparently it was calling out Dr. McCabe. So Dr. McCabe, Melody McCabe's involvement in this, how she's connected to this other dimension that they went to or whatever, is something that's open as like for exploration in Volume 2. And then towards the end of this volume, I don't want to give away too much, but shit goes totally wild. A bunch of people die. I don't want to say why. And then you've got these really awesome pages here where you've got all of those panels, and then you have these weird abstractions of like all of these characters being connected in this like almost continuous line drawing, the stream here. And you can see like the dog and the abstract, and those lines connect into this panel, and then this character like connects into this cat. And it's a really cool visual representation of how all of these people are connected. You know, lines coming out of here turn into the lines of the people that are connected here. So it's like a visual representation of like a psychic 6 degrees of separation, I think. Really smart and really beautiful. Absolutely, as you can tell, love this book. Really excited. I've got Volume 2 sitting off to the side. I'm really excited to jump in and read Volume 2. And yeah, I'd never read anything by Joshua Cotter before, but I am a huge fan and will be looking to see if Joshua Cotter has done anything else, and definitely looking forward to anything that Joshua has coming forward.